Hello, my friend. In this video, we're discussing 11 steps for creating a high-performance culture that's sustainable. This is a clip from an interview we did with Andrew Freedman, author of Thrive, the leader's guide to building a high-performance culture. This is Business Leadership Today. I'm your host, Matt Tenney.
So oftentimes people ask me and my company, they say, well, what kinds of industries do you really do well with? What kinds of organizations, industries, things like that? And the answer that I give is the same one that I'll give to you and your listeners right now, which is industry doesn't really matter. Verticalization is not what this is about, the way that we think about building high performance culture. What matters most is the leader. What kind of leader are we dealing with? So if we have a leader who really believes in the depths of her soul that high performance culture, that a winning culture is the most important, uncopyable competitive advantage, that's a conversation I will take 10 times out of 10.
Right.
But if you have a leader who really doesn't believe that, and I know people might listen to this and they go, oh my God, well, of course I believe that. Not necessarily. I mean, I have leaders that I talk to all the time that go, oh, Andrew, we have a high performance culture. It's like, do you really? How do you know? How are you testing that? By what measure are you saying that? And oftentimes it's just like, I mean, truly, who doesn't want to say they have a high performance culture? Who doesn't want to say
Right.
that they put their people as at a high level of importance? But the reality is the behavior and the beliefs don't always match that. So I'm just going to throw that out to everybody listening now, which is a little bit of a self-gut check. Do you really believe that? Because as a leader, I'm going to give you the 10, but that one really is the most important. You can try to do these 10 things, but if you don't really hit that I believe button, it is going to dull the impact that you could have. So just know that out of the gate. So I hope there's value in that for everybody listening. Past that, here's the 10. I feel like a Dave Letterman top 10 list coming
Yeah.
drum roll and Paul Schaefer in the background. So number one, as a leader, you've got to create clarity and alignment through things like vision, strategies, and goals. These things have to be clear. They have to be cascaded. They can't just live on a website or on an email or in a town hall conversation once. They have to be, reshared. There's no such thing as over communication of these things.
Right.
Clarity and alignment, most important. Second, define what's most important when it comes to organizational values and behaviors. Oftentimes what we see is companies will have values and they'll live again on a website or in an employee handbook, but they're not really brought to life day to day. They're not talked about. They're not reinforced. They don't show up in meetings. They're not in performance reviews in a way. And in fact, the most divisive piece is when people don't act in alignment with values, oftentimes that goes unaddressed. That is one of the biggest things that can absolutely torpedo any kind of high performance culture is making sure that those things go unchecked, especially if you've got somebody, let's just take sales because that's an easy one, who's putting a lot of revenue in the cash register. Right. But if they're a cultural cancer and that goes unchecked, forget about anything else you're saying as a leader. You've just killed your credibility. So that's number two. Number three, set standards of excellence for all roles, especially the ones where you have a lot of people in the role, because that usually suggests that there could be a lot of performance variance, and the ones that are most critical to driving and executing your business's strategy. You've got to have clear standards of excellence so people know when they take the job what's expected. And when they're coming to work every day, they know, are they winning or not? What should they be aspiring towards? How should they be tailoring their learning and their development efforts? So that's number three.
Right.
Number four, as a leader, you've got to reduce the barriers to higher levels of engagement and performance. And I mentioned a bit ago in that story around the financial services company, that's one of the things that we did. And that's one of the things we do. You've got to find a way to uncover from the front lines, what are the things getting in their way from doing their jobs better? Even if it's information you don't feel like you want to hear, you need to hear it. You've got to understand what's getting in the way of your people from doing a good job, because the reality is you've hired good people. They want to do good work. They want to win. They want to make you proud. They want to go home at the end of the day and go, I won today. I mattered today. I contributed value today, right? I can put my head on my pillow every night. I could look at myself in the mirror and go, it mattered. I matter. We've got to help reduce some of those barriers. The fifth is building an environment, this connects to what I just said, where people actively seek out and give feedback, near real-time feedback or real-time if possible. And it's delivered with CRED. CRED it's an acronym. The C stands for constructive. The R stands for reinforcing. So reinforce what you want to see more of or less of. E is for essential, and D is developmental. Too often, I hear leaders, you probably do too, Matt, and it's like they go, I need to give you some feedback. And people just like, they're bracing for impact, because that's a euphemism for, I'm going to tell you how you suck, right? I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear.
Right.
And feedback doesn't have to be that way. It shouldn't be that way, right? It should always be, it's like, I'm going to give you constructive feedback. Again, a euphemism for, I'm going to tell you what you're not doing well. All feedback should be constructive, or don't say it.
Right.
So that's number 5. Number 6, let's treat one-on-ones like the most important meeting of the week. Don't move them. Don't blow them off. Don't come in unplanned or without an agenda. Really be focused, because this is intentional time to connect with and develop your team. Number 7, let's develop routines and rituals and rhythms that really fuse your team together. How the team starts the week, how the team ends the week, how the team celebrates wins, how we do retrospectives on, whether it's a new pursuit or a project we launched, whether it went well or not, doesn't matter. We've got to reflect. And we can do that through really meaningful rituals, routines, and rhythms. Connected to that is modeling the way around embracing failure. Many organizations and leaders say, we love failure. Failure is great, but do you really? What do you do? What are the things you do that actually would show your people it's okay to fail? Do your people get marginalized? Do they get benched? Do they get put on the sideline when they make a mistake? Do they get outed in meetings in a really unproductive way? Right? How are we showing that failure is a good thing? The failure, that it matters. There's a story with Amazon and Jeff Bezos when he had somebody that, he wanted to develop. You might remember like the Fire phone, I think it was, and the person, I think spent over $100,000 worth of, Amazon's money in trying to develop this thing. And it was a flop. It didn't work, whatever the specific initiative was. And the person came in and was talking with Bezos and was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. I just, I wasted $100,000 of your money. And Jeff said, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter, because what's really money here is this small piece that's in here, which is when somebody says that they want something, that the phone, the technology hears them. And unintentionally, that was the birth of Alexa.
Right.
Through a failure, through a mistake, $100,000 mistake that the person thought they were going to get fired for, that Bezos was like, don't worry about it. This is to be celebrated, because in that came our next great idea. And we all know what's going on with Amazon Alexa today. We've got to embrace a mindset of abundance and possibility, as opposed to scarcity and a fixed mindset. So what could be, how might we, what if kind of thinking? Can we infuse that into our language and our way of being, as opposed to, this is the way we've always done it around here. This is just the way that it is. I don't know why we send these reports. I don't know why we ask for these reports. I don't know why we have these meetings. I don't know why we have these policies, but it's just kind of the way that it is. That is debilitating and squashes creativity. We've got to have abundance and possibility. And then lastly, this may sound a little weird to some of your listeners, but that is about offboarding. Not everybody's going to be with your company forever. The days of, lifers and people staying around 35 years for the Cadillac or the Rolex, or, these days are largely gone. All the data suggests that people stay maybe 3 or 4 years and then they move on. Now, certainly that doesn't mean you should be resigned to that. But the point is, people are going to leave. So how can you make offboarding something to celebrate? How can you use that as a ritual or routine to look at the gifts that people had and what they brought and how your organization maybe got better, regardless of their time or their tenure? Can we look at offboarding differently? So when the person leaves, they feel valued and valuable. They still talk about your organization as an amazing experience, an amazing place, because your next great employee, your next $5 million client could be a referral from that person who just left, as opposed to they were great when they were here, and when they left, they now become a less than model citizen that we don't speak well about. I see that mistake happen a lot in organizations. So if we can change the way that we think about offboarding, it really not only can support, but it can foster this high performance mindset and culture that we're looking for.
We hope you found this video valuable. If you did, please hit that like button so this video can help other people too. We love getting feedback, so please leave a comment below letting us know what you found most helpful in this video. If you'd like to listen to the entire 30-minute interview, please visit businessleadershiptoday.com. The link is in the description below. Also, if you'd like to see more videos like this one, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and opt in for for notifications. Until next time, I wish you great success building a world-class organization that makes a positive impact in the lives of team members and in our world.